is the Florida Supreme Court, because they are hearing arguments today on the marijuana initiative. That's right. The Florida Supreme Court will hear arguments on Wednesday, which is today, about a proposed constitutional amendment that would allow adult use of cannabis by people ages 21 and older in the state of Florida. The Smart and Safe Florida Political Committee, which is leading the initiative, needs the Supreme Court to sign off on the proposed ballot wording before the measure can go before voters next November. The proposal has drawn opposition from Attorney General Ashley Moody. Both sides will have 20 minutes to make their case. The Supreme Court reviews ballot initiatives to make sure they are not confusing to voters and address single subjects. The Smart and Safe Florida Committee, which is backed by Trulieve, the state's largest medical marijuana operator, has submitted enough valid petition signatures to get on the ballot. The minimum was 891,000 signatures. The committee collected over 1 million signatures in total, and those signatures didn't necessarily represent support for the effort, just the number of people who would like the chance to vote on whether adult use cannabis should be legal in Florida. The proposed ballot summary, in part, says the measure would allow adults 21 years or older to possess, purchase, or use marijuana products and marijuana accessories for non-medical consumption. If the initiative goes before the voters, it would need 60% approval in order to amend the state's constitution. And Ohio voters last night approved the measure legalizing adult use cannabis on Tuesday, defying Republican legislative leaders who had failed to pass the proposed law. Passage of issue number 2 makes Ohio the 24th state to allow adult use cannabis for non-medical purposes. And in a quote, marijuana is no longer a controversial issue, said Tom Herron, spokesman for the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol. Ohioans demonstrated this by passing state issue 2 in a landslide, and Ohioans are being extremely clear on the future they want for our state. Adult use marijuana, legal and regulated, he says. The new law will allow adults 21 and over to buy and possess up to 2.5 ounces of cannabis and to grow plants at home. A 10% tax will be imposed on purchases to be spent on administrative costs, addiction treatment, municipalities with dispensaries, and social equity and jobs programs supporting the industry itself. Well, I mean, it sounds like all those places, sounds like each one of those branch arms that they mentioned is going to get probably about 2% because there's 5 of those and they're only given 10%. So I guess that's how the money's going to fall. But nonetheless, this is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News Hour. What do y'all think about this? Florida Supreme Court, they're hearing arguments today. 20 minutes each.
I think Florida is going to be very, very interesting the way that thing plays out. It'll be, Trulieve spent 40 mil on that thing, and if it doesn't pass, I don't know what's going to happen to Trulieve. But if
I know, Trulieve influence in Florida is heavy. Yeah, super heavy.
And Ron DeSantis coming off of this ass whooping, wearing his boot lifts and everything.
Hey, easy on the boot lifts. Easy on the boot lifts.
Hey, come on. Hey, he doesn't need them, so you should be mad at him for.
I should
be mad at him.
Oh, so I should attack him for like trying to impersonate the disabled. Is that what you're?
Yeah, he's talking
me?
Shit about you. Yeah, he's attacking you. But but seriously, I think he's going to be all piss and vinegar coming off of his big shellacking that he has gotten in the presidential race. And he's going to go down there, and I think he's going to kill the whole thing. So he's anti-cannabis. But
I could definitely see him pulling a, what's her name, Kristi Noem from South Dakota, where the people voted it in, and she straight up was like, "Nope, you guys don't know what you're talking about."
That's not going to happen.
92% yes.
He's not going to do that.
F y'all.
He's not going to.
We'll see.
That. He's not going to do that.
Yeah.
The initiative process is how you get around these asshole politicians who won't vote for shit.
Thank you, Dale.
Okay? But the problem is very few states have the initiative process California has. There's a lot of ways to attack it, go around it, to get through it. And, we'll just have to wait and see. Because if you look at where it was on the ballot, Ohio, is that the voters said, fuck it, we want this. Stop it. And politicians don't like that. So if they don't like the initiative, they're going to throw every wrench into the cogs they can to stop it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Dale.
It's just bad.
Ohio's going to be very interesting to watch because their voter initiative that passed last night is not a constitutional amendment. And so therefore now basically the whole framework goes over to the legislature and they are forced to pass some type of framework that is going to be the regulations for the adult use industry in regards to how Ohio operates with its commerce.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add to that, shout out Cleveland, Youngstown, Dayton, Cincinnati.
Lee-Town.
Yeah, you don't want to shout out. You don't want to shout out Boehner, huh?
No, there ain't gonna be no Boehners. But listen, the people of Ohio, I was meeting with a lot of them at Benzinga in Miami. They're super enthusiastic about legalization. I knew this was going to come down really, 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 really soon, and I'm glad to see it. There's some social equity people over there that I know that are poised to jump in right away, and I hope to see them be successful.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Shout out to Cleveland Cannabis College. Shout out to everybody doing their thing out there, and yeah, man.
And word on the streets from D.C., one of their newly elected senators in Ohio, I heard he was waiting to see what the results for this was, to see what he was going to make as his established position in regards with cannabis. So that shall see, and hopefully we'll see a story coming up soon about that.
Yeah, you need to vote people out like that. They got to wait and see how other states are doing it. Other states are not your state.
That is his state. He's an Ohio senator, and it just passed.
Yeah,
and he was waiting to.
In this particular instance, Rico, I wouldn't say like you got to vote him out, like, because I respect, like, if you want to wait to see what the people's voice is on it, like, okay, that's cool, but when they do speak, respect it. That's the problem I have. Is what happens is most times is when they speak, they still say, "Oh, well, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Exactly. I'm still going to implement these old conservative Puritan laws." And oh well.
Yeah. Very, very, very true. And we'll see what the Ohio legislature does with this and how they do it. But I do find it interesting that they don't sell Ace and they only sell 2.5s, and the maximum quantity here
sounds like my old high school.
2.5 ounces. It's 2.5 ounces. So it doesn't sound like they're going to change the purchase size in Ohio.
You think they're going to call that a quarter? They're going to call that a quarter?
No, it's called the 10th. It's called the 10th, Rico.
I know, but they need to rebrand that shit, because if Michigan right next door is selling eighths, why are you going to go for a 10th for a smaller amount?
Maybe because everybody in Ohio really wants to be in the Big Ten.
Maybe.
Yeah, and really, it's not even really a 10th, though, right? It's really more like a 9th.
No, it's a 10th.
Yeah.
It's a 10th.
Or an 11th.
It's a 10th. It's actually, I think it's like 2.7 grams or 2.8 or something like that. But it is actual 10th is the actual unit of measurement.
You better put that shit on a scale. You better put that shit on a scale before you get home. Make sure they put the full 10th in there.
Ohio, hit me on my website. I am selling brand new hand scales that you can bring in to your local.
Are you selling the old school ones that have the counterweight on?
Oh yeah,
you
know which ones. It's gonna be branded with profit on the side of it. It's the old school one that has the little like hanging weight on it. Yeah, you know how we do it.
Yeah.
Listen, if you don't know about that, then you're not. We don't even got to talk.
Yeah.
As you're breaking the brick up, you're throwing rocks in there and see what it weighs. Yeah.
Yep.
And you heard about that.
A nickel. You know what I'm saying? $1 weighs a gram.
You got to make sure too that when you're using one of those type of scales, that your bag or whatever you are clipping onto that little hemostat little clip, that it is not hitting the scale at all, because you can definitely get a misread if that is touching any part of the scale.
Yeah, shout out to nickels, dimes, and dubs, Sachs, man.
Nickels, dimes, and dubs.
Shout out.
Oh man.